Hey guys, and welcome to the commentary for one of my Jurassic World speed paints. I call it speed paint because I've sped up the footage. Not that I gave myself, 4 hours to speed paint an image. I know that's uh, how the terminology works, but in this I call it a speed paint because it's sped up. But this piece actually took me approximately 19 hours to complete. I worked on it for over the course of 5 days, and I think it turned out pretty well. So I'm going to press play now and then sort of talk you through some of my techniques and the ideas behind the way I draw and stuff. So I'm going to press play here. I had a few hours spare the other day, so I figured I'd randomly start sketching a raptor. And I don't like to use polygons and shapes to create the characters. I just tend to draw. It's not that I have anything against drawing that way, using like circles and squares and stuff. I just haven't found a comfortable method of using that yet. I usually use it on humans if I'm drawing sort of humans, but obviously dinosaurs are my love, and specifically sort of Jurassic Park dinosaurs. So that's why I sort of have them kind of down in my head. I know like the sort of the shape and stuff because I played with the toys and all that when I was little, and the sort of their body shapes and the way they're coloured and stuff are just sort of burned into my memory. But as you can see here, I started drawing this raptor and I gave it a sort of sandy colour, mainly because I wanted to originally draw just a raptor from the original film. That's why you can see the coloration is like that. And then as it turned out, I was painting this picture and I realised that actually I want to do a massive piece and base it on the climax of Jurassic World, where the raptor, the T-Rex and the Indominus are fighting. Another thing I did here, which is different to a lot of my work, is I decided to actually add every single scale by hand on the dinosaurs. This is something I, hadn't done really before, not to this scale, and I quickly realised that this is what I'll be doing in the future for pretty much all my drawings. Mainly because it brought out so much detail and it sort of changed the look of my images, because usually I would have stopped pretty much where we were, and then I had all these scales on, and it made me think about lighting in a new way, and I sort of progressed into new territory for me, and I think it, testament to patience and willing to draw every scale, because it really turned out quite all right. You can see I use the emboss tool and drop shadow to make the details of the raptor pop through the scales. You can see I'm adding the teeth here, and I found kind of a weird style where it's like semi-cartoony mixed with sort of realistic color palettes and hopefully realistic lighting. Maybe one day I'll crack it even more, but practice makes perfect. Like eyes, I love drawing eyes, dinosaur eyes and animal eyes and stuff are just really cool to draw. And the dinosaurs in Jurassic World have some really unique eyes. They sort of changed the style of them for the new film and made them really pop. And I kind of like that in a way. And here you can see the blue stripe going down the side of the animal. That was just using a layer of another one that I rubbed out and gave it an outer glow of white. And here you can see I've added giant scales along the top jaw of Blue, because she actually has those in the film. I did look at a couple of pictures for references while doing this. I didn't do it all like from memory. I had to look at a picture. As you can see there now, that looks like Blue. I think I changed the back leg a little bit in the actual final piece, moving it across a little bit. But here we see the T-Rex, and just going back to what I was saying, using the movie for reference, the T-Rexes I can draw pretty well, but because I was drawing the specific T-Rex from the first film, I wanted to get it right as best I can, when I was painting. So I did sort of look at a couple of pictures of the T-Rex from Jurassic World and Jurassic Park to try and get the look down. But like if you're drawing a general Jurassic Park T-Rex, you can make up your own T-Rex and it can look slightly different, because it could just be another T-Rex that's on sawn or something. And as you can see, I'm working extensively on the head. It's such a specific design that Stan Winston came up with and Crash McCreery, and it's like, you got to get it right. Just going to have a sip of tea while this head is being done. Mm. Mm. Yeah. And here I start adding all the scales back on, and the scales, were tedious with the T-Rex more than others because in the movie, she has quite large scales dotted about all over, and they, are actually one of her most, awesome traits in my books. It really gives her that realistic look, and so I wanted to emulate that here again. And I sort of give it a pebbly sort of look, so she almost looks like a giraffe. But yeah, you'll see how it turns out when I add the bevel emboss to the actual scales. So here I'm just neating up the corners, and the head has extensive work pretty much throughout the entire painting process. I think I even end on the head because the bodies you can get down quite easy. I can draw. I didn't really change the body all too much. The size of the arms, the positioning of the legs, the size of the feet, and the backbone and the belly are sort of the areas I sort of tweaked a little bit. But the overall structure of the body wasn't all too different. But the head went through a lot more of a change to the original doodle that I did, and the doodle I did at work. Yeah, and then I usually do that. If I doodle at work, I find that I can concentrate more. You can see I did the eye a few seconds ago, and now I'm adding this blue look to it because of the shadow. Because I had a sort of general idea of where the light was going to be coming from in the final piece. And I know I put on Twitter, progression, and showed a version of the T-Rex around this point, and it got a lot of praise, and I was looking at it going, it's nowhere near finished. But this is where you can see I'm working on the arm, and I zoom out and I notice how big the arms are. So you'll see in a second that I actually, decide to remove one of the entire arms and reshape it in a second. So I'm going through all the body, as you can see, adding highlights onto some of the scales, and doing feet. I find the T-Rex's feet very satisfying to draw. There's something very therapeutic about the bird-like claws all splayed out as it stands on the ground. Try and get a sense of weight in the actual feet. And I tried to give her a position, where she looks like she's about to roar triumphantly at her adversary. And you can see I've repositioned the feet and got the lighting down, and I changed the eye because I figured the eye was a bit too big. Here you can see, this is what I was talking about. I changed the size of the arm, make it smaller, because the T-Rex does have small arms, and I gave her proper big arms. And then the head, oh yeah, I forgot about this. The head actually went through a reposition. It needed to be further out because I realised that it looked like she didn't have a neck. Just adding all the details on the scales to make it pop. Repositioning the teeth because the teeth are all obviously certain sizes. And the specific angle of the T-Rex's head really, changes the angle of the teeth. I even add some of the cuts on her neck in the final piece. Like I sort of laid down the foundation here just so I know where they are. Yeah, I had the lighting overgrade because I knew exactly where the lighting was coming from. Now, as you can see, it starts to look more sort of realistic in a way, in a painted way. Looks more like an oil painting now. And then add a bit of diffused glow to give it that moonlight shine. And then I realised the eye looked a little bit too friendly. So I decided to give it more of a deathly stare. And add the like veins and stuff to make the eye pop. And in the final piece, as we were seeing coming up in a second, I tilt the head and stuff to make it look like she's really about to lunge. And here, even though I'm coming to the end, I'm still working on the head. It still didn't look 100% right. So I sort of changed the jaw to make her teeth look bigger, make it look like she's sort of snarling a little bit more. And obviously that comes with dealing with changing the layer. Because I do like to work in loads of layers, but then I do flatten it and I push the paint around like an oil painting. And then we can see the final finish. And I made it more angular. And you can see as I've tilted the head there. So yeah, the coloration is meant to show her age as well. And here we have the Indominus. Now this was actually the first time I'd ever properly drawn the Indominus. I'd done a few like random doodles ages ago, but I didn't really like them. And then I did one at work for this piece when I was on my shift, and I really liked how the body shape turned out. And for the scales in this one, instead of drawing it like I did on the T-Rex, where it was more like a solid little block, I used the bevel and emboss tool pretty much right off the bat to give it a more stony look, because the Indominus has a rougher appearance than the T-Rex. And again, with this dinosaur, or should I say hybrid, the head was the most difficult thing, mainly because the angle it was at, she was sort of turning away from the camera at the same time, because if you look at the back leg, but she's sort of twisting her head at the same time. It was a very difficult angle to get, so as you see, I'll work on the head extensively in this one as well. And here I'm adding all the spikes on the back of her, and that really made her stand out, made her look really 3D. And her specific hands, and I wanted to show her using one of her hands as like, she's almost going on all fours, because the Indominus is bipedal but also can be a quadruped at times. And I wanted to get the menacing jaw. You might notice I've used a light blue color. That's because of the when I do the final grade in the piece, I wanted to give it that slight bluish glow, because of the buildings that are around and stuff, and she's like reflecting the buildings around her. But I do darken it quite a bit, so you won't really see the blue that much. It's just so I know it's there. As you can see here, I start darkening it and I work on the eye. And the Indominus's eye color changes through the film, but I had to do the red because it's that's the classic Indominus look, the white body with the red eye. And the work on this one wasn't as long as the T-Rex or the Raptor, but I think I sort of got it down a bit more. And that's the final Indominus piece. And as you can see here, I did a rough sketch. You can see my humans are a little bit different to my dinosaurs. And I knew these were going to be very, very small people in the actual final piece. So I didn't spend too much time on them because the focus was meant to be the dinosaurs. And as you can see here, I'm working on the buildings, and I used picture references from the end of Jurassic World. I wanted to show a side of Main Street you don't actually get to see all that much in the movie. I wanted to depict the scene where they're running through the gift shop, but instead of being in the gift shop with them, you're on the other side of the street, sort of looking at the battle going on. And so you can see sort of the entrance of the T-Rex kingdom there, and the gift shop entrance. And then I've added the humans in and all the lights in the background. And a lot of this stuff you don't actually see in the final piece because the dinosaurs are covering it up. I sort of fast forward a bit here because it would be boring watching all that. But like behind the T-Rex is this Spinosaurus skeleton. And there's my mate Ross on Skype. He was Skyping me while I was painting this. Having a good old chinwag. Yeah, so I added a bit of 3D work to the sign there. And the final piece turned out really nice after I added all the cuts and bruises on the dinosaurs. Some flames from the broken light that the T-Rex knocks over, and that's how it turned out. Yeah, really good. I hope you enjoyed this speed paint, guys. Sorry if I waffle on too much. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a comment, send me links to your Jurassic World fan art. I'd love to see it. And yeah, have a good day, guys.